What's going on? So, that state of calm and peace from being in a extremely vivid dream, and the aftermath of that is short-lived, and the drama of life and familial nonsense has quickly and rapidly returned with a vengeance to put a vice grip on you and choke you so that it makes sure that it will restrict your expansion and make things difficult for us here. For all of us here, we have a lot of enormous resistance to expanding awareness in this dark, dark Mandela affected realm. Having said that, I wanted to announce that on Thursday, our podcast is going to be on the Apollo moon missions. Now, in particular, the conspiracies or theories related to that. Something I don't really know much about, but I've been researching, and it's actually pretty interesting. There's a lot of stuff I didn't know, apparently, about a lot of these photographs and video images that are kind of strange. So, it's definitely something worthy of looking into. I'm hoping to get into Max Spears. Was a big fan of him many years ago, right before he died. Very interesting individual, very suspicious death. But anyway, I had a really interesting conversation with a dear friend this morning. And when I say dear friend, it seems like most of my dear friends are virtual friends. They exist only on the internet, and people that I'm really close to don't really exist in person anymore. Over here where I'm at, there's a couple of people I hang out with, but I really even call them close friends. Just the guy I do the podcast with, I just started hanging out again with him recently, but other than that, developed a much closer, more intricate relationship with people on the internet. And we're all far away: London, Boston, Ohio. It's always far away. So we're talking about how I just had an epiphany. So we're discussing deja vu, which is an interesting subject to begin with. I highly recommend this one guy. I can't remember his name now, but I'll remember it later. Well, I've had many instances of deja vu, as I'm sure many of you had as well, where you have a you know something happen where, for example, I would dream something, and then years later it would happen, but it would usually be something very obscure and like really dumb, and just something that doesn't really seem that important. But it may not seem important to us, it may seem really kind of silly, but it might be important to our subconscious in the sense that it's triggering something to it might be opening a gateway, a flood of information, these very small subtle things in deja vu. uh Man, I can't remember that guy's name. British guy. It's really interesting though. But basically, so what I think is going on in a lot of these dreams is, as you know, I believe that most of us are actually observing real realities, some of them in the astral plane, some of them other dimensions, some of them other planets, some of them other timelines and other times from the past, present, or future. all of the above. But either way, whatever it is that you're dreaming, it exists somewhere in the omniverse as a real thing. So, what I think a lot of us are doing on a conscious and subconscious level is that we're trying to return our consciousness, open our stream, a data stream from the proto universe. And what I mean by that is that, for example, when God or Source or whichever first initiates a spark of creation, he puts a seed. He puts a seed out, and let's just say that seed is a singularity. And contained within that singularity is the blueprint and the information required uh, what to have life evolve and expand, as well as the embedded blueprints of DNA and consciousness and awareness and things like that. And it's usually very kind of a uniform and basic sort of outline or blueprint in the initial universe, the first universe that sparks, that's sent out into the infinite void, the infinite darkness. And when it explodes, it's supposed to have an element of randomness contained within it. So there could be a myriad of infinite number of possibilities of what happens to that particular universe, whether it even harbors life at all, or whether it just dissipates into the ether and collapses in on itself right away. What type of light or matter or substance is going to make up the universe? Things like this. So, but usually, I think that in the original, what I call the proto universe, the pure essence, the initial universes have a very, very powerful plasma layer. They have a very powerful energetic component embedded with them because because that initial spark of creation is like a chain reaction, in that when that first proto universe explodes and expands and then contracts in on itself in order to go back into the infinite void and come out, go into a black hole, and then again explode into another expression of its former self, it creates a chain reaction, and it's supposed to, in many instances, it's supposed to subtly increase kind of in vibration and awareness and growth with each chain reaction, with each expansion cycle. It is supposed to grow and grow and grow, and of course, go back into itself and eventually return to source as information. However, with the element of randomness at place, we have an infinite number of possibilities that can occur. And what I think is happening here is that with each succession of the cycle of universes, so mind you, this is a really convoluted, huge subject. I'm thinking beyond just the evolutionary spiritual process of individual planets or individual persons. We're talking about the process of an entire universe. And I'm only speculating, of course, but it's good to speculate sometimes. So, um, like a spring, with each um, contracting and expanding cycle, like breathing in and out of the lungs, it continues to expand and expand and expand until it expands into infinity back to source. But in our situation here, we have the opposite taking place. We have a distortion. We have something that is continuously grinding away. So it started off with a plasma energetic, highly magnetized, highly creative process in the initial universe. And as that universe died over trillions of years or whatever, and reemerged in the another part of the infinite void, it slowly starts to dissipate and lose its energetic plasmatic components and light energy, slowly dying essentially. So in our dreams, we are attempting to open a stream of consciousness like a phone, a telephone cable, back to the original proto universe with that original blueprint, with that original um, creative output, and open up that phone line back into our own current reality so that we could open up a funnel so that we can make a breakthrough through the bottleneck that we're stuck in. It's a dying, decaying process. So we're using energy from the proto universe, like I mentioned in my video the other day about the Mandela effect, is popping us out into a greater reality. So we're connecting that phone line to break us through that bottleneck, to pop us out into what I hopefully perceive as to be the new Earth, which may be actually the original. I don't know. But I just have a deep sense of these things and a lot of these realities I've seen in my dreams and the travels out of body, is that a lot of them felt very ancient and very old, even though time technically doesn't exist. But there were others as well that felt like future expressions of verse. But most of them felt ancient, especially the one last night. That place was much closer to the original blueprinted universe. It was very highly energetic. It was very highly magnetic. And that magnetism, that I'm not talking about physical magnetism, I'm talking about spiritual magnetism, the quantum oscillating harmonics. What used to play a beautiful symphony is now playing a satanic black metal song. I'm a metalhead, but it's another story. Um, so it's just something to think about. Maybe they've created this false universe because they knew this is the last. This is the last cycle before this universe finally loses all its energy and dissipates entirely and returns back to source. To prevent that from happening, perhaps CERN or whatever it may be attempted to create a synthetic version, another synthetic sort of singularity to come out the other side on the void to explode again in their own way. But I don't think it's going to work. I think the entire universe, this expression, is on its dying breath. And whenever this process finally comes to an end, we will find ourselves not only on a new Earth, in a completely different and new universe altogether. All right, that's all for today.